Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SimSeniors and welcome back to the 8th season. It's good to have everyone in the chat. It's good to see everyone. We're not going to be wasting much of any time here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because we have got ourselves a lot to talk about. Not much time to do it, and a pretty spicy lineup, which of course we need to be getting on board with ASAP. My name is Ben Sapsford, aka Sapitron. It's good to be back once again in the hot seat and in the commentary box, ready for the season in full. We've had a few rounds under our belt, and we are heading over tonight to beautiful Bathurst, Mount Panorama. It's going to be quite the racing location for us to go and check out. We've got plenty to discuss on the points front. First things first, let's take a look at our classic handy spotters guide. And we can see that is going to be our gold class with the white driver numbers. It's going to be Lindblom currently in the lead, continuing a streak of dominance in the Nismo with Jimmy Engdahl close behind at 65 points. Johan Larsson's going to complete the podium with 62, so there is definitely going to be a bit of fighting for positions there, with Oskari Herme taking a massive upswing up into 4th place on gold, and Peter Wolfslener in P5. Having had a chance last time out, but not really being able to capitalise, it meant that in the end, he's going to be sat currently in P5. You have, in the silver side of things, you have, of course, a few great drivers that we will be keeping close eyes on. We have Ostrachars in the BMW M4 with 76 points to their name, followed closely by Richard Cook in the Ford Mustang. Very good car, knows how to push the top speed and top end of things, but has seen a little bit of a nerf in this iteration of the BOP. Damian Reed is actually going to be tied on points in the Lexus with the AMG of James Payton. Now, it did take a 5-point penalty, and that is what stopped them from taking a clean 3rd place in the standings. Finally, in our bronze group and leading the charge in that set of things, it's going to be Bruce Hopkins over in the V8 Vantage, and they are going to be closely followed 5 points behind by Alex North and Iro in 3rd place with 61 in that classic number 992 Porsche. Plenty to look forward to, and plenty to be excited for as we get trackside. The racers are just finishing practice now, so it's a chance for them to get their bearings, chance for them to get fully rigged and ready for the race ahead. And for those who are new here, one, if I do have any sort of stammers or stutters in my voice, I am recovering from a bit of an illness. I've still got a bit of a cough going on, so I do apologise for that. If there are any points where I do go very mute, or alternatively you hear my voice flutter or fluctuate, mostly it is going to be me, and I do apologise for that in advance. I'd much rather be here with a little bit of a stutter here and there than miss out on a good round when I'm up for it, and the racers are certainly going to bring their A game, so why shouldn't I? But plenty to be excited for and plenty to see trackside. Now, I've got, say, some more beautiful top-down, top-side shots, and you can hear the helicopter in the background as the racing session is coming to a start. The quali is going to be 15 minutes, and then you have the 15-minute quali followed by a 60-minute race, and there is still a mandatory pit stop of at least 25 seconds. Tyres are optional, but the racers are going to be able to weigh up whether they want to go for those tyres or whether they want to go for a little bit more aggressive of a run on a single set. Opt to save the time on the wheels. But it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a good one. It's, of course, Bathurst, which means that it is going to be chaotic. It's going to be exciting. And this has me on the edge of my seat for sure. Let us know, of course, in the live chat as well, who you are keeping an eye on, because I want to hear your thoughts. I want to see who you're rooting for. I can see plenty of familiar faces and plenty of returning chatters. So, of course, get those thoughts in. Get those views in. And with that, the session is about to get underway. So, let's hear it as the drivers are now going to be joining us trackside. And going immediately to trackside, it is going to be Dave Marsh we jump on board with as one of the leaders in the queue. They quickly racing their way up. They had a little bit of an adjustment to the visual format, so we've made the track map based on feedback a little bit bigger. We wanted to keep it tucked out of the way, but we did have some comments saying it was a bit too small to be fully legible, so we've made it a bit larger. Let us know, as always, what you think in that chat below. But here you go. With the sound feed now being restored, it's time to go. It's time to see what the racers can do. We'll stick on board with the Porsche, as it looks like the Audi that was just ahead of them has had a bit of trouble. I do believe that is Holmberg there. Oh no, that is my mistake. That, I believe, is one either Mansell or Lenatus. We'll get the confirm in a moment. Either way, we're going to stick on board with Marsh. A solid competitor that we've seen push the envelopes in the timing side. Not always bringing it home come end of the race, but they certainly know how to put down some pace here on a one-lapper. There we go, starting the lap now with Dave Marsh. Let's see what he can do, and let's jump straight on board. We're going to jump aboard with that splitter here and see the kind of speeds that he's pushing in the 992. Making his way out of Hell Corner and up the mountain straight. Now he begins the treacherous ascent. It's a quick, frenetic uphill after a little bit of a dip, and then we're going to see him really start to push the envelope here. Get to the inside of those curves. Careful of the wall on the outside as you exit out of Quarry. Now into the cut in here, set himself up, get to the right side of the corner, dip in a little bit, jump on those brakes, cruise down to about 100 Ks, and then open up the taps once more. Don't get too skittish over the hills and over the crests. But there you go. This is probably the most high-octane section of the course. You're out of Reed, you're out of Salmon. You're headed into McPhillamy Park in just a moment here. Bit of a wobble on the curbs. Fully commit. Nicely done there. Over 200 kilometers an hour. Then you ride the brakes all the way down through Skyline. S's Dipper. Tee yourself up pretty nicely here. Cleanly ran from the Porsche into Forest Elbow. And then it's the sharp and fast back straight of Conrad. You're down the hill, you're gravity assisted. This is where you're going to see the real speed and some of the overtakes being teed up, heading into the chase, which we'll see in a minute. Making our way up a little bit. There you go, 270, 280 kilometers an hour, all 6 gear. You hear them ringing it out. And then jumping heavy on those brakes, down all the way to 110, into 3rd gear, through the chase, cleanly run from the Porsche as we switch cams for the vinyl corner. That's going to be Murray's. What's it going to muster? It's got one of the cars up ahead. That's number 888, just starting. And there is Marsh, first time of the night. It's 201.8 and immediately usurped by the Bentley of Wolfslander. 2 minutes, 0.935 seconds. Flurry of cars making their way through. Let's check in with another racer. It's Oscari Herme. He's been a driver who did really well in Silverstone last season, and one that has continued to impress. GMR is going to go in 0.125, new fastest time, and is going to be leading that gold class group. But let's see what the zippy little Ferrari is capable of. There we go, coming up to the line, and very nicely done there. That is a 0.775. Continues to impress. That is 2nd place in the group. Well done indeed. A few more cars we're going to check in on board with. We've got Anthony Hebert, one of the bronzes, who's looking to prove himself here. A lot of different cars that are trying to push as best they can. Just get an early time on the boards. That's the main thing. Get your early times. Get something that you can work with. So that's coming up to the line. Now we're going to see a few more big jumps. We see Guillermo's pushing for a 159, and we'll check in with him in a second. But that is going to be Hebert leading into the bronzes with a very respectable 202.1. Identical time to Damien Reed, the class above. Meanwhile, let's jump on board with Guillermo. Let's see what he's doing here. Let's see what kinds of times he's pushing. He's in that Mustang. He's got a lot to push with. And he's certainly going to have the speed to be able to do it. That's 283. I think fastest speed trap we've seen coming out of Conrod here. Into the chase. Running the Wolfpack car, the number 208. It's going to be rapid, and it's going to be very sharp looking to boot. So 0.7 of a second up. Right, let's get those deltas up here. And you can see 59.3. That is a massive improvement here. Guillermo is going to be taking this quali by storm. And good thing too, he's coming up into a bit of traffic here. We'll see, is anyone going to be coming on to a particularly strong lap? Kevin Walker coming up through. In through the chase. We'll see if he can get into the 20s. It's 0.4 of a second up. Although he has lost a little bit of time there. Walker does get a time improvement, but not a position 1. We'll see if he is a different story for another bronze class driver and one who has led the charge. Alex North, currently second in bronze. Can he make it one of the fastest times? Is going to be a 202.7, and it is in fact going to be one of the quickest out there in his respective group. Checking on a couple of others. And a familiar face, Wolfsletter. Black, white, lime green. That's the Bentley we know and love as he tears through the track. Really push the speed, similar to how you can do it in the Mustang. Those larger proportions, don't let them fool you. This thing is just as nippy as any other GT3. And up to the line now. Potentially half a second on the table. If he nails the last corner, he could put himself into P3, and he does just that. 0.312. Not quite on the back of Grosguess, but still an impressive run all the same. Well, a couple more drivers who are improving. We just had Hellstrom in. Oh, Wilson was on a perfect run, but they biffed it into the final corner. That's going to be a crash out of Murray's, and that is going to be a run to forget. We've got Raj chrome pink in the Porsche. Loud and proud. Love to see it. Number 420 blitzing its way up Mount Pano. See, look at the speed he's carrying through at that top end. You're looking absolutely rapid here. Let's jump on the onboard. Take a bit of perspective here. Now through Skyline and the S's. Into the dipper, and you can feel a lot more viscerally how the car has to bend and weave to the contours of the track. Really is something to behold. Your setup on this track has to be second to none. There's no way to get around it. You gotta have your suspension be pliant enough, just enough ride height to be able to get away with some of these bumps. Spring rates, damping rates, all of it. You got to take it into consideration. Get that stable platform. Because you never know, this track can really throw you a grip curveball if you're not careful. Rog coming up to the line, running about equal. In the end, does get their best time, but it's not a meaningful improvement to be able to push that envelope. Well, we are seeing a bit of an interesting scenario because we do not have a certain gold class driver joining us on track this evening. We, in fact, haven't seen them towards the top end, but I'm sure we'll see them at the top end of the timing board very soon. We haven't seen them yet. But I think you know who we're referring to. One of the dominant forces in gold. I was initially worried that they weren't actually on track, but we do have a Lindblom, and we do see them pushing the times. They haven't touched KMR yet, but Lindblom is the second car currently in the 159s. Mansell has gone through and scored a decently strong improvement and looking very nice in the Audi while they do it. 201.9. That's going to put them in P18 for now. And we see similar improvements around the field. Here's Chris Bourne. One of the Ferraris with a point to prove. Looking like they have some serious gains on the board. Number 118, seeing a lot of Wolfpack cars really sort of flying the flag, flying the colours, and Bourne is going to get themselves into a top 10. It's a P9 so far in quali, and with 3 minutes to go, it's looking like a strong position to hold, heading into the last stages. Let's see what the rest of the field can conjure, as we see many now teeing themselves up for a push here. There's two leaders, Guillemot and Lindblom. They're both cruising their way around the track, and they're looking to get those final runs underway. It's all about the setup at this point, and they want to maximize their chances. They get to line in the right point, they could get 2 final flyers. Gives them a chance to rectify mistakes should they make them. We're going to stick on board with Lindblom here for a second, and we're going to see if he's got what it takes to get pole position here. It's a driver that we are known well for the pace. But actually, no, it looks like they haven't got a actual timer start here. Looks like they are going to have to go round another one. Which means that Guillemot is going to be the car to watch. Can they get an improvement here? Let's see. Let's find out. Let's check on board and see what they're capable of. Currently a 10th up already. Imagine some of these sector times must be nothing short of ridiculous. Running quite aggressive here. LaRue in the cut-in and up to Griffins. Griffin's Mount, handled with poise. Raid Park and Solomon. They lost a little bit of time in this sector of the course, but they've got a little bit of time to make it back up again. A good sector on the downhill can really set yourself up quite nicely. Throwing it deep into Skyline, into the S's. Teetering on that time gain. Just about running green right now, but will it stick? Few more cars making their way in the background. Peyton put 201.8. They're going to be in P17. You got Patrick Larson, who's just come through alongside Damien Reed, P11 and P12. Eyes up here, though. Eyes up front. As we see Johan Larson, Holmberg, P7 and P9. Aggressive on the curbs here for Guillemot. 30 seconds left on quali. Final setups. Guillemot not committing to that final run, but Lindblom is now ready and poised. We see Alex North RTPing. And we see Cutler making a rare mistake, which means that their sessions are going to be as good as over. As the flag is about to fall, a lot of drivers towards the bottom end have already conceded their times and headed into the pits. Here we are. It really is Clash of the Titans. Guillemot's got a confirming hold on the top end of this quali session. Lindblom's going to be closely behind. They're going to make gains of their own. But the question is, for all the gains they can make, is it half a second good? Because right now, Guillemot could be on the cards for a 59-1. really have what it takes here, I think. They could show it. We'll check in with a couple of other cars. We'll check in, for example, on our sole Lexus on the track. Well identified in chat, and I was kind of thinking at the back of my mind, we want to shout out those odd car choices, or the going against the grain car choices, and here you go. Damien Reed flying the flag of the luxury Japanese outfit. Coming up to the line, any improvement? It is an improvement, and up to P13. Nicely done in the RCF here. Well played indeed. But going up to our top riders and top racers. And we see an interesting story start to form. On the one hand, Lindblom has made an improvement, so he could get a 59.5. But Guillemar's still 2 tenths ahead. And potentially even more on the horizon. Let's see what he can do. Coming up to the line now. Final corner. Has to nail the exit here. Takes a little bit of scrub. And they do get an improvement. It's a 2.42 to pair up with Lindblom's 0.4 flat. So what a run from the both of them. But in the end, Guillemar is going to be short of any surprises. As we have McNair now coming through to the line. That is going to be our session done. And looking spicy indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our quali winners. It is going to be Frederick Guillemar in the number 288 Mustang. It's Lindblom in the 888 Nismo. And it's Maximilian Grosges in the 134 Bentley. That is your top 3 for the gold side of runnings. Into the silvers, you have Matthias Holmberg with a strong run and a couple of tenths ahead in the 231 Ferrari of Linatus with a great second place. They had a bit of a wobble at the start of session, but they quickly found their footing and they got themselves a very impressive P2. With P3 going to the RCF in the number 979 Lexus of Damien Reed. Excellently done. And then you have in the bronze class, you have none other than Anthony Hebert. We jumped on board with them. Their first lap was stellar, and it's the lap that stuck. 201.290. It's going to put them over a second ahead of next competitor, Alex North, with a 202.3 in second place. It's the 207 V8 Vantage. Kevin Walker is going to take your P3 spot in the 296 with the 330 Ferrari. And that is going to be an impressive round-off for our quali session. We're going to take a short technical break, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that we have the session all ready for you for a full call race. 60 minutes, much to discuss. But for now, we're going to take that short break, make sure we're all prepped, and we'll be right back with you in a couple minutes' time. So don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Now, we're not going to waste too much time before we go trackside because we have a little bit of a surprise. Now, we had a brilliant qualifying, and if you just joined us, welcome. Lovely to have you. But do always make sure you catch that qualifying because it is something that you never want to miss. But we do have a surprise, and it is in the form of a night race. So you're going to have to be close to those screens. You're going to be watching very closely. It's going to certainly throw an interesting element in the works here We've had qualifying during the day, or during the sunset, but now, in the heat of night, it's 9 p.m. local time, the track is 17 degrees, and it's going to mean some tight and frenetic racing as we're about to go trackside, and we're seeing everyone rev those cars into life, prime themselves for the formation lap. Let's see what they are going to show us and what these drivers are really capable of doing. We are going to switch that timing board on to Delta mode. But for those watching at home, sometimes we like to vary things up. And of course, if you're on the Monday Night Championship, this isn't a surprise to you. But for those of you catching the Tuesday night coverage, you really have got something exciting in store, let me tell you. It is going to be a little bit chaotic. We're going to have to be watching and thinking on our feet as things get underway in just a moment. You can see it gets dark on this circuit. It really does get dark. You're going to have to really be perceptive as a driver. You cannot afford to be slacking for even a moment on this course. Nobody is going to be getting off scot-free. And nobody is going to be having a chance to really rest. But either way, you join us for the formation here in Mount Panorama. And you join us for round 3 of the Season 8 Tuesday Night Championship. It's going to be a good one for us watching at home. Let's just hope for the drivers that you're on the side of race to remember and you're not on the side of race to forget. Everyone's rounding their way through here. They're just going to be slowly making their way around Solomon Park. We are, of course, firmly locked and on board with Frederick Guillemard, pole position holder for gold and for the session. But then also worth looking at some of our other pole positions. We have the silver pole from Matthias Holmberg, and Anthony Heber is going to be our pole for the bronzes. So everyone's going to be bringing their A game. We slowly flow through. We're out of Skyline. S's dipper into Forest Elbow. It is deceptively dark, this course. Those headlights are going to be life and death. These drivers are going to have a little bit of track sense. They'll roughly know where they are placed on track, but you still need to lean on the limited perception. Just look at the sea of lights. Now, it's at this point that drivers are going to start slowing down. We're going to see them drop within formation lap speeds. They may have flexed up and down with this limit to get those tyres warmed. But now everyone is going to be running low on the speed, start bunching up. And they need to be in racing positions ready for the green flag from race control. Organize into double file. Yourself down to about 60 Ks. Give everyone a chance to bunch up and get with the formation. I'm very much looking forward to this, folks. The strategy, the carnage that potentially could unfold on track, it's all to play for. And in the third round of the season, you're gonna want to keep yourself on your toes, and these points could mean more than ever. But as we round out the final corner, the night is dark, but the track is hot. Race control is going to call at any moment for the race to officially begin. They're coming up to line, and there you go. It is go, go for the racers, and immediately off to a flying start, and on the defensive, it's Guillermo Lindblom trying to get that early advantage. Press for the rest of the field to really show them what's what. It's 3, 4, 5 wide as chaos was already erupted in the mid to lower packs. Let's see exactly what's going on as we keep this static camera angle and watch the rest of the field try to recover a little bit. It's going to be a little bit dicey for some drivers. They're going to be close to the wall. That is one in the wall. That is McNair, who is going to be firmly into the last positions. My software is having an absolute aneurysm just trying to catch up with all of the data that's being flooded in. That is a car turned around. That is Lindblom turned around. And already the track is getting majorly clogged. Chaos is unfolding. Drivers are forming into multiple packs, and nobody is getting out of this one unscathed. We're going to have a lot to review. I literally cannot keep up with it. I literally cannot keep up, ladies and gentlemen. It is the incidents and the flags are coming in too hot for me to be able to even track. Like, the earliest already that I'm able to log is from coming up into the cutting. But let's see what we can try and trace here. But then, there you go. You can see cars being brought to a halt earlier in the session. So yeah, I literally cannot keep up with it, ladies and gentlemen. You've got cars that are limping on the course, barely able to make it. You do have, of course, the drivers up at the front end of the field being able to work themselves out, but you've got, for all of that, for everyone who's managed to survive, you've got so many drivers who are peeling out of there. We have 8 drivers who are already in the pits and counting. That's not going to be the last. But there you go. I think we are getting a red flag. I'm waiting on the confirmation from the team internally. We are waiting for that confirmation. We may be red flagging and restarting the race. I can see the majority of the course is going to be returning to the pits. So, just getting any kind of word from the field to see exactly what is going on. We'll give you the updates trackside as soon as we have them. But it really does look like almost everyone on this field has returned to pits or is bailing out. So we do have, I think, the confirmation. We are restarting the session. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, the session is going to be restarted. And that's all she wrote. I gotta say, it's the first time that I've ever seen a restart like this. In my... Wow, I'm trying to think. I think it's been almost 4 seasons of commentary now here at SIMseniors. In my 4 seasons, I have never seen both a start of this magnitude to the point where it crashes my internal software and a full-on race restart. But here we go, folks. In fact, there you go. I'm seeing in the chat confirm it is the first time that this happened. But here we are. We once again return to the track after an interesting hiccup, an interesting predicament. We're going to be running that one from the top. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it literally overwhelmed my software to the point it crashed. It was that many incidents and that many events being flagged at once. It could not handle it. And this is ACC TV. This is some of the best software in the biz. Well, the full works and everything. And it could not keep up. It really did struggle. We are just going to reset the software as well to make sure that we have a fully clean slate. And we haven't got any kind of technical issues. I'm not talking about my GPU. I've got a 3080 Ti. This thing can handle some beef. But the telemetry was literally pulling through so many events that it could not keep up. That was more the issue.
10 seconds.
But here we are. You can hear race control. There's calling for 10 seconds before we begin once again. And we will have a full formation and full restart of the session. On board with the heli. There we go. Let's try this one more time, shall we? We observe a moment of calm before the storm. A bit of a debrief, and some of the chatter I'm seeing is, as mentioned in the live chat, literally the first time that this has happened. So to have that to such severity does stand for something. We'll see what these drivers can go on. A bit of a rerun. Oh, we're going to try this one more time. So, if you're just joining us, if this is your first round joining us, don't worry. It's not like that every time. But what I can say is, the racing does get frenetic. We do have a lot of fun on the track once things are rolling. And second time lucky, we should have the same fun here. We just need to make it through the first couple of laps, okay? And we've had our trial run. We've had our first attempt at it. Let's see now if on a second attempt, the field is going to be a little bit more tame. They got it out of their system. They've got their chaotic side sated. To the point of an unprecedented move. But now let's see what they are really going to bring to the table when the flag falls. So this is going to mean we do technically start in world time 15 minutes later. We're starting at 9:15 rather than 9 o'clock local. And that will have an effect on the track surface and on the track. It will be important. 1 degree temperature difference may have a difference in the handling characteristics of the car. It might be minute, but all the same, it's a factor. It's a consideration. And with that, we come back down through the Conrad Straight one more time. We're going to see them line up double file once again. 60 minutes on the clock with a mandatory 25-second pit stop. Fuel is required. Tyres are optional. Racers are primed. Hotel is Trivago. We stick our POV with the number 208 Mustang of Guillermo, as we did before. Lindblom following closely behind. And might be looking for an even more aggressive start than we saw previously. Remember, they did get blocked off, and they got caught in a lot of chaos, which ended up with them getting turned round. We are down to 60Ks. Down to the final corner. And one more time. Second time lucky. The track is dark. But there's about to be some serious racing. It may be dark, but the track is hot. As we're round 3, attempt 2. We're going to go racing here at SimSeniors Season 8. And there is the green flag, green light. Go, go, go. Let's go racing and give it another shot. Immediately, second verse, same as the first. Guillermo on the defensive. Lindblom tucking in just behind, but they're not going to get stuck with Grosges this time. We're going to have, again, a little bit of chaos as there is going to be drivers sideways. That looks like one of the Audis, as they are going to be wobbling themselves back on track. Looks like the Canon Audi. We'll have to check back with them in a moment. But look at the drivers still struggling down. A bit of chaos further up, but much less than we saw last time. Lindblom being displaced into 4th position, having to take a couple of dips on quarry and now through the cutting as they head up the hill. A little breakthrough for some of the drivers further down as well. We'll check in on them also. We got Hornberg up in P10. They have found a real surge here. And we have got some serious contenders who are really pushing towards the top end. Looks like chaos all round, and the camera can barely keep up. Grosges, black and gold Bentley on the back of fellow Wolfpack driver in the number 208 Mustang. They're all going to be bearing the teeth, and it's all going to be aggressive early days. 36 drivers start, 2 of them currently in the pits. Aldhouse and Homer, they're taking an early bow out with an RCP. And the spacing already starting to emerge. We have a couple of yellows that are flagging in local positions. That's going to be Craig Morrison, as they are going to be limping out on track, having to spin round. And, oh, serious contact being made. That's with Carl Thompson in the GTR. Not an ideal move there whatsoever. They have had a rough start, rough innings here to this first segment of the race. Checking back up at the front, we have Johan Larsson. A lot of chaos and a lot of push on the gold side of things. We have Holmberg heading into the pits very early on. And despite the early surge, they're not going to be capitalizing on it per se. They're going to use it for an early stop. Plenty of time in the session, of course, but Alex North also heading into the pits means that we will have a change up in the order. Johan is going to be on the defensive. There's the Mustang of Björkland chasing through. Number 444. A lot to be pushing for. They're on the defensive here. Gonna have to be teetering along. You see a little bit of position trades further back, because that's McNair and Bourne fighting each other. Oh, a little bit of a chaotic run for some. But others are really starting to push the boat out. Now that they found their footing, now they know the first couple of laps are over, they can afford to get the elbows. Larson is going to be one of the first to maybe smell out a chance, as they are a few crucial tenths away from getting a position on Hebert. Remember, Hebert is the leader. Looks like we've had a wobble from another car behind. That's going to be Peter Smith in the 720S. They have dropped a little bit. And we see a trade coming through the Comrade straight. It's going to be Wolfslener taking on and passing Lindblom, pushing him down into 5th place. Looking pretty spicy there, if I do have to say so myself. So we already have a retirement in the session. I believe that's Aldhouse. And we have Justin Cutler heading into the pits too. So there will be still a couple of drivers chancing it early on the stops. Only 5 minutes in and we already have a few different drivers who are taking that alternative strategy. We're on board with McNair in the top 10 and pushing to make that a potential P8. Hellstrom was on the inside and on the defensive, now holding the line just up ahead. Do have to say, as you see a massive kick of sparks from the Bentley. Wow, this is pretty. Unfortunately, those of you watching at home, the video compression probably won't do it justice. But I got to say, this is a... Oh! Guillemot slamming tank slapper into the wall of the S's. Brutal. Oh, coming out of the dipper. Just not holding the rear. And that may incur some dangerous levels of damage to their position. Just as you think Guillemot's got the hold on things. It's going to be a drag race. Bentley v Mustang. Who has the moxie? Who's going to make it work? It's going to be Grosges. Takes it in the Bentley to stop any chance for the Mustang resurging. Or are they? They're peeking left, peeking right. They do still have a chance in this. We do have a car, however, stopped on track. That's the number 331. That's Craig Niesbet, who has just returned to the pits. A couple of trades further down as well. Surrey taking a bit of a position hit as they have dropped behind Holmberg. And Derek Bird is into the pits. A very staggered, very varied pit strategy we're seeing on this track. Chris Wilson doing much of the same. Lots of variation in the strategy here tonight. Love to get a bit of insight from any drivers in the chat who are maybe, especially if you competed in the Monday Night Championship, let us know your thoughts. Maybe be a bit of insight into the minds of the drivers at play. So far, things have taken a bit of a calmer turn. Bit of a calmer turn at this stage. You know, a good point being made that there might be damage at play, hence the early stops. Want to get those stops in as soon as possible to both get your stop under your belt, but simultaneously resolve damage so you're not losing any more time. A very valid point being made, and one that I did not consider, so thank you, Paul. But yeah, looking round, and see drivers starting to settle into a relative rhythm. We do, however, see a three-way battle kicking off. Bourne, Hellstrom, McNair, all in the same space of track. Things could get spicy between these three. Let's take a bit of a moment. Appreciate just how hard they are really pushing each other. And the flurry of cars that follows them behind. As everyone is looking for that push. Everyone is looking for a potential shot. And squeezing a late position. For example, Holmberg is going to go very aggressive through Hell Corner. And squeeze Peter Smith right to the edge. They have to dip onto the curbs a little bit. Holmberg with a successful move. Check in with another, and chasing the Soul Lexus down it's going to be the current leader of the Silvers. It's going to be Ostrachaz in the M4. Number 74 BMW, currently sat 4th in class and has got some serious work to do. Reed is holding the fort. Not going to have any chance for a move down this sector of the course, but could set themselves up for a move down Conrod and into the chase. So a little bit of space being afforded to the Lexus here. Nice clean lines from the 979. They will be able to push, but will they have the proximity? That is the question. Although we do see a couple of cars being stopped on track. This is Chris Mansell and Peter Smith. They're both stopped out on track. Something has happened. Something has happened in a major way. Let's see exactly what's happened. So let's take a look first at Peter Smith. We'll rewind time a little. So this is Peter Smith on the replay, making his way through Solomon Park in McPhilly. And just, there you go, just taking a bit too much. And, oh, that's going to be the Audi getting caught in the crossfire as well. Unfortunate. Real rough innings for them there. Last thing you want to be happening. It's getting caught in the cross. Yeah, we do see two cars return to the pits. That is Mansell as well as Smith. We did have a bit of an incident as well being flagged up for the number 331. That's going to be Craig Niesbet. But with that, we have a top 10 run of pure gold class cars. And oh, big contact being made. That got dicey fast, as that is a... Wow. That certainly got a little bit dicey. Let's take a bit of an onboard replay and see exactly what happened. So this is Game Master's perspective. See, just running aggressive, and there you go, trying to get around the vantage, and all just clipped. Just clipped on them there. And then we jump in just in time. They are already on the defensive and reeling from that move. There's contact between Herme and Wolfslander. So no rest for any of these drivers. They are really having to push and give it everything just to hold on to a position. Now, I do wonder what actually happened there, as we do see a couple of cars have a wobble. There's Lenatus being flagged with contact. So we might have to revisit exactly what happened. In fact, let's do just that right now. So, on board with Lenatus. Into the chase. Makes his way through just fine. Down into the final corner. Any drama, any fuss, tucks in behind Dave Marsh, and all contact being made, just outbreaks himself. Unfortunately, Marsh in the weeds and displaced down the order. Lenatus down into P14. Yeah, Marsh is going to be sitting in a bit of an odd P18 spot, and they're going to be yielding to let Mark Hughes by. So maybe damage has started to affect their driving, which might be, as said, an unfortunate end. Although McNair has been spun. McNair is spun. He is round on the course and is facing completely backwards. They need to get themselves around the right way and do it fast. There you go. Get into the grass a little bit. That is your space to turn around. Let's see exactly what happened here with the number 13. To see exactly what happened. So through McPhillamy. Takes it fairly clean, fairly nice. And oh, just a bit of the curb and loses the back end. Unfortunately, pirouettes round into the wall, piles in. And that's all she wrote. Now, we're also getting a bit of an update. Marsh, the reason why he's dropping such pace is he's struggling to keep the car afloat. That car is seriously limping its way through the course at this stage. He's having to fight it more than race it. Always an unfortunate state of affairs to be able to deal with. Oh, but saying that, little bit of four-wheel steer, four-wheel slide. Coming in from the Bentley of Wolfslenner, and Lindblom is aiming to capitalize. We're currently 15 minutes into the session, folks. My voice is already starting to feel the strain from some of the high action moments. And things are looking interesting for some of our championship pro tags. Lindblom is down in P5 and currently on the offensive trying to catch Wolfslenner and co. Meanwhile, you have some of these silver drivers really showing a bit of surprise. Ostrachar's in P3 and Cook in P1. Heber is going to remain strong in P12 and in fact has only extended his gap to his relative classmates. And many drivers have headed into the pits earlier than expected, following a bit of drama and a couple of collisions just to set things off for sure. We rejoin a couple of familiar faces. We're on board with Lenatus. P12. Oh no, that's the number of their car. Nearly looking at P12, however. As they're chasing down the bronze of Heber. And oh, looks like they had a wobble coming out of the corner. This could be a chance for Larson to take a spot through the Conrod straight. And they're going to do just that in the Ferrari. Running aggressive in the 296. They're going to have their way with the Audi for now. But doubt that Lenatus is going to take that one lying. We'll see how they respond in due course. We see a couple of cars rejoining the pit. Or rejoining the track from the pit, I should say. But look to the top, and we see an interesting battle forming. Herme is in P3, and it's challenging on Gayamar for a P2 spot. They've got good proximity here. And they could really make this work if they put the hammer down in the next couple of laps. Now, Gayamar is going to be 2 seconds away from Grosges. So he wants to avoid fighting and he just wants to make up time. Anytime he loses to that Bentley, he might not be able to get back. Although the Bentley themselves is going to be stuck in a little bit of traffic trouble. So I wouldn't hedge my bets just yet. Now, important information, folks. We have lost what looks like 2 cars since the start. 36 beginners. We lost Aldhouse, I believe, and then Hellstrom has been in the pits for over 6 minutes, so that is usually a safe indicator that they will not be returning to the racing surface. It tends to be a bit of a safe bet. Oh, we do see a couple of sparks getting kicked up from the Mustang as they are going very aggressive with some of their lines. Herme could make the most of this, as we do have a chance for them. They're running tight to the back of the GT3, tucks to the left as they aim up for Hell Corner. Not quite getting the chance yet, but the pressure is on. The chance is there. They just need to push the boat out and be willing to snap it up. And they still within half a second of the Mustang and refuses to yield outside of that range. But they're going to have a bit more time and a bit more work to do if they want that to happen. My advice, keep the pressure up. Make them fall into a mistake first before you do. The same which could be said for the battle against Lindblom and Wolfslenner. Let them be the one to make mistakes. Because once your opponent is the one making a mistake and you felt the pressure, You don't have to go out of your way to take the position. One could even argue that they are driving erratically. So you have got more impetus to push ahead and take the spot if they make a mistake and wobble the car. Feels like a chance for some push, but not a chance for a certain McNair, who has once again put the car round. And we're not really sure as to why. Let's take a bit of a replay and see what's happened here. So, might be a familiar tale through McPhillamy Park. So it doesn't make the same mistake. Now down through in Skyline S's and just, I think, a bit of lift off oversteer there. Pit their car round, and that's all she wrote. Sad to see. Down into P28 for now. With that, a chance arises for other competitors to push even further ahead from the rest of the course. We chance it with Liam Blom. As a driver that we know from the past, in seasons past and even races past, they have what it takes to be at the very front of this grid. And tend to be one of the drivers to beat. So for them to be stuck in P5 right now is a little bit out of character for them. As much as it is easy to think, oh, well, the driver in usually first place is not in first place. What's going on? It's all about relative expectation. A driver you usually expect in 20th, hitting P10, P15, is just as much of an achievement, if not more, than a driver who's consistently towards the front, remaining so. But there is certainly going to be that added challenge of the darkness playing into the performances of some. And oh, looks like things have really kicked off there. That is a McLaren into the wall. I think that was traffic there. Yeah, so that's the number 213 car. That is going to be Craig Morrison, P30. And in the process of being overtaken, but Linatus has also had a struggle. They have had, I think, a bit of damage. Let's see exactly what happened here. Let's jump aboard the helicopter. So this is, I believe, heading through the final corners of the circuit. So coming out the chase. Oh no, so it turns out they just headed in to the pit, although the pit stop didn't count. I'm a little bit confused there as to actually what happened. My replay not really giving me the full context there. But, oh, look at the front. This is chaos. This is bumps. This is shoves. This is all of it. Wolfslener, Lindblom, Gayamar, Herme up into P2 and all of this chaos. We have got to get a replay on this, and we have got to get it now. Let's jump aboard the helicopter so we can see coming out of the chase. Little bit of a rough line coming out from the leader of the set. Slides coming through. Again, contact, contact, contact. We jump back on board. We see Hermes now 2 seconds ahead. So they got the move on Gayamar. Lindblom got the move on Wolfslener. Wolfslener is being left a little bit out to dry. And for the Nismo, currently chasing, the position is within grasp. You can see Lindblom going super aggressive on some of these curbs. It's a signal of intent more than anything. They do not want to yield a position for hell nor high water. Really racing to the finish here. Elstrom with 750 seconds in the pit and counting, so they are thoroughly out for the count, making us down to 34 cars on the course. Let's jump on board with that car currently in P4. 25 minutes into the race, and tensions are just as high as they were at the start. Bit aggressive on the final corners here. Lindblom trying their best to close in and take a spot. Take it out of the hands of the Mustang. Wolfslanders not going to be yielding themselves. So there will still be chances throughout the race to get these spots, but they want them now. Lanata's headed into the pits. Wants a chance. I think there was damage on the table there. Here we are, Lindblom. We stick on board with for now, as they continue their crusade to try and get a podium. We do have a few cars further away that are within about a second's of distance. And if they draw any closer to each other, we will check in. McNair also heading into the pits too. And then we see... oh, big slide coming in. That's a narrow dodge. Patrick Lawson barely keeps the car together. And with that, Reed slides their way through like a knife through butter. Damien, you are in P12 by a hair's breadth at that. I'm glad we caught that in such good time. Oh, looks like we have had an issue. However, that is going to be an incident with Rudge. Let's see what's happened. It's the number 420 Porsche making their way up to the first corner. And oh no, that was a car that was sideways on track. Where do you even begin with that? So this is Chris Mansell. Let's take it from Mansell's POV. This is their perspective of that incident. So out of the first corner, lose the cars, bit of fishtail, and then going sideways on track, and oh no, real time to unfortunately get it moved. There you go, they are RTPing once more. As we see another couple of drivers. Carl Thompson, I think, is going to be bowing out because we just lost their feed. Walker and Rudge in along with Patrick Larson. A bit of chaotic moment out of nowhere, really. Certainly going to be putting a damper on those drivers' races. But the show must go on. So far, we have about half of the field throughout all of this pandemonium having taken a pit stop. And some drivers even taken two. But we'll see what they can do. Because they've got points to prove. Lindblom, throughout all of that, has got themselves into the P3. And is now chasing Oscari for a P2. But between them and P1 is 6 seconds of time. I think whichever way you slice it, the track officials are going to really have their work cut out for them. So everyone trackside, stewarding, surfacing of the course, resurfacing at this rate. Might all be happening. Either way, drivers are going to continue to push it. Here's Lindblom getting a great run out of the first corner. Oscari remains on the defensive, but the Nismo might have the four-wheel advantage to be able to take the ideal line. You can see him pushing a little bit further ahead here. Is Oscari going to remain narrow, or are they going to go on the attack? Looks like they're going to have no choice but to retreat back in the racing line. And right now, Lindblom is back into fighting form in P2. 6.5 seconds between themselves and Grosges, who is just in the middle of displacing some traffic But the race is going to be on for a certain Nismo. It's all of a sudden become much more real to get back to the championship leading form they've seen throughout the season. Hughes, Cook, Heber, all into the pits now. Many other drivers having already taken them over the last couple of laps. Does mean that the pit strategy is becoming less and less of a factor on position. More of the field is getting them done. What can sometimes turn into a tale of two races is not going to be the case tonight. We're not seeing many drivers make major moves based on pit timing and strategy alone. A lot of it is coming down to simple on-track work. But we've officially crossed the halfway mark of the session. But it is going to be just coming out of the pits now. You can see in the background, they're going to be just ahead of the Porsche of Derek Bird. By a couple of seconds, in fact. Well, we're also going to see a lot of the leaders heading in. So Hermé, Guillermo, Lindblom, all into the pits. Leaving a couple of late surges. We've got Johan Larsson, we've got Nicholas Björklund, we've got Peter Wolfslanner, we've got Maximilian Grosges, all in for a chance of making some position gains. But with the pit stop yet to happen, there's only so much. Holmberg, another joiner. But now we see the flurry of cars heading in and out of the lane. We see Hermé. They're going to be the lead car. Guillemot is going to be tucking in behind. Looks like we have seen two cars jump Lindblom in the pits. Very interesting predicaments. And all of a sudden, everyone's going to be flying their way out of that pit lane. Hermé, Guillemot, Lindblom. The trio emerge. Among other traffic, they are going to have to deal with this position reshuffle. With Holmberg and Gabbert in, Ostrachar's now making their way out. Only 6 drivers remain who have yet to take a pit stop here in this session. Few other cars to keep note of. James Payton, I believe the only AMG on the field here. The only Mercedes AMG. And they have been putting in some serious work. They're currently chasing down Randy Zimmer in the Ferrari. And looks like the two of them are going to be trading spots heading into Quarry Bend. Smoothly done. Very nicely applied and pushed through. A good result so far, as long as they make their way up. But now we see Wolfslanner, Larson, Björklund, Bourne all headed in. Grosges making a bold decision to stay out for yet another time. And so this does leave in an interesting position the likes of Hermé, Guillemot, Lindblom. Where will they come out relative to the competition? Has their undercut started to eat into their time? Or has it helped them? Either way, the likes of Wolfslanner and Larson are going to be the litmus test for this. You can see that is in the background. Hermé just making their way around the corner. You've got Guillemot also doing the same. Where's Wolfslanner going to slot himself in through all of this? He's going to pull up side by side just ahead of the Audi. And that is going to be the Audi of Linatas, currently sat P24. But great positioning. Now with the back marker firmly slotted between, this will be a chance for them to get a bit of a break and get a bit of distance or the back markers hold them through. So here we are. This is going to be Grosges now heading into the pits. And with that, time is of the essence. Everyone here knows it. Hermé in particular knows it, I think, the most, because they currently lead. Keep in mind, they are leading this session provisionally. They might even have a chance of getting a serious undercut on our current leader. So running P2 on this pack. Let's see where Grosges comes out timing-wise. 6.5 seconds. That's not a small gap. That's not something you easily wave a stick at. But here we are. Grosges being released from the pits. Where will they come out? Let's see. That's Hermé coming out of the final corner to start the lap. Grosges is exiting. They are going to be just out ahead. You can see the front lights. And it's going to be, once again, about 6 seconds. About 6.5 seconds. So they will not be getting that close gap and that close shave that maybe Hermé was so desperately hoping for. Looking forward to seeing how these drivers respond now that everyone has taken a pit. The strategy is no longer the factor, and it's time to really show on track what they can do. Now, before we flip over back to the battles, I got to say, Grosges is doing an absolute masterclass of a session. They have taken an early lead. They have run with said early lead to extend. And they have, to be honest, put themselves in the position that we usually see the likes of Lindblom at. That driver who gets that early gain and just runs to the hills with it. So, seriously impressed with Grosges' work. Cannot be understated the performance that they put on so far tonight. Regardless of how this ends, finish the race with a head held high. I'll check in a few different drivers in on that. We have got, what's the only AMG on track? That's Peyton, currently chasing Derek Bird. We have Damien Reed, the only Lexus, currently in P12, and many other cars currently within about half a second to a second of each other, such as Lindblom. We will check in on them shortly. I want to quickly see how Peyton handles Derek Bird being up ahead of them. See, sort of scything their way through S's dipper, setting themselves up for Forest Elbow, looking to keep that precision and keep themselves sharp. Checking with a couple of other cars, we got Lindblom, who is on the chase still, with Wolfslenner currently in their targets. Up through into the cutting. Very sharp upward left-hander. And we do see a little bit of a wobble. Looks like Derek Bird had a bit of a moment. Let's see what happened. Jump on board the helicam. With Derek Bird on the ragged edge. There's Peyton in the rear view. And yeah, looks like they just got spooked. They outbraked themselves. Luckily, no major incident. They managed to dodge any kind of major incident, but still a sad end to the defense for the Porsche. Looks like Lindblom coming up to a little bit of blue flag traffic, but still got their work to do. That's going to be Hero. In fact, So, classy run-ins. And many who will continue to put that work in. Holmberg on the back of Reed now. Trying to tee themselves up for something, heading out in through Forest's Elbow. Remember, a good run at the elbow and down the Conrod Straight can set you up with a move into the chase and confirm it at the end of the lap. But let's see what the Ferrari does here. Holmberg on the attack. Closing in. Sniffing the bumper. And meanwhile, further down and up, we see a brief trade. Lindblom and Wolfsledder going toe to toe. One position swap later. Looks like Lindblom is on the charge once again. Very much on the hunt here. Holmberg's got a certain fire in his eyes now. Although it looks like we might have some issues up ahead. That is Larson. You can see they're coming up and that's dangerous. That is a yellow flag. Barely dodged. Hughes just getting out of the way in time. Had to jump to the inside wall to prevent even further incident. That could have got nasty. Larson barely avoiding causing a major incident and relegating into P16. But lucky that it was not a worse outcome, especially for some of the other races that are involved here. We just seen throughout all of that, if we rewind about 30 seconds, let's take a look back at the move that got Lindblom into a P3. So out of the elbow, chasing down through the Conrod Straight, just making their way alongside over the crest. Make sure to take that left side of the line because that means they'll have the apex for the most important corner of this sector. And there you go, confirms it through. Eloquently done, nicely done. And Lindblom is up into third for the session. 18 minutes left on the clock, nearly coming up to the final 25%. And that will mean the drivers start to get the elbows out more and more, or they settle into their current positions. Let's see whether they go for a more aggressive slant on their strategy or if they choose to play it safe. Either way, still a chance for a few moves on the table. Damien Reed currently sat P11. Holmberg in P12. Whoever does fail to capitalize on the attacks is going to feel some pressure themselves. Hughes is waiting in the wings. He lies in wait. He waits in the wings. That is Derek Bird, who is round. Let's see exactly what happened here. I think we might see a bit of a repeat without breaking themselves into the chase. Let's see, though, here. And, oh, it looks like a bit of lift-off oversteer or just a bit too much throttle. Either way, they're round at the chase. And they're going to be limping down in P20. A difficult end for the run there. And Bird is, in fact, heading into the pits. We have lost a few more cars since we last checked in as well, folks. So, worth mentioning, we are down to 30 drivers from 36 starters. We've lost a lot of cars. Unfortunately, not all of them being able to make it to the end without being much further away. Still work to do. Now, we have to talk about some winners and losers here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look around this field and see just where we're at. We've got, of course, winners. We have Grosges, who has done nothing short of a masterclass of a race here. A couple of other drivers who are under some pressure right now, but we'll check in with them in a moment. Hermé as well, another winner in gold, who has really proven their stuff and shown us why they deserve to be at the top step of the competition. Now, let's look to silver. We see Cook, who's currently leading. A couple of seconds ahead of Ostrachaz, but Ostrachaz will seek about putting some pressure down, and that might be an interesting predicament. But look at the bronzes and how spread out they are. Now, let's do a little bit of maths here. We have... what is that? That is about 20 seconds, 25-ish seconds. Oh no, more than that when you include the gap for Gabbert. So keep in mind, Heber is coming up and making their way up into the cutting. Gabbert, the next closest bronze driver, is just finishing the previous lap. That is an insane difference between classmates. P1 and P2 are literal worlds apart. So Heber is putting on an excellent race. And immaculate running. Very, very impressed. We'll check in on a couple of cars here. Looks like Larson has had a moment. Let's see what happened from the helicam. So this is Patrick Larson on the replay, making his way up the hill. Into the cutting now. And oh, big slide and wall tap there. Yikes. Rough times there. Larson, you're going to be down in P18, but you've kept your car in one piece and you haven't caught anyone else on the way, so certainly be proud of that. Final 25% of the race distance. Everyone has taken their stops, and so far looks like tensions are just as high as we started with, as that is Holmberg really going ambitious on the outside run. Let's see what they can do. Hughes. Excuse me 1 second, folks. Here we go. Back on track. Hughes still lying in wait. About half a second between them. Patrick Larson is in fact going to head into the pits following a little bit of a moment. So in number 230, Ferrari is going to see themselves appeal into the pit, hopefully returning out on track to finish things up. We're down to P29 cars, and we join just as Holmberg has a major issue out of Skyline and through the S's. Practically rides the wall in that second half. And that car will not be thanking him for it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the steering is behaving for him in any meaningful way at all now. Certainly might be carrying a bit of tyre scrub and burning up the edges, as it's all too easy to bend things like steering racks and tie rods. Generally, the parts responsible for keeping your car running straight. But seems to have an okay handle on it. Or at least not to the point where it feels a requirement to head into the pits. You never get the full information, unfortunately, on damage levels, at least from here. Let's check in with some of our other cars and have a bit of a float around the field as things start to dial in. Larson is going to be in the pits, and will they be coming out? We'll find out. But a few different other cars to pay attention to. We have Lenatus currently sat P21. Now, they have taken a bit of a position drop So they have continued and are sticking it out to the end. And this is something that I want to commend. It's very easy to throw in the towel. It's very easy to concede defeat and decide that, for what it's worth, you just don't want to keep driving. You can face hardship after hardship. Looks like that's Holmberg in the pits and is going to be RTPing. But throughout all of this, you're going to be facing difficulties. You're going to be, especially if you get damaged, it's going to feel like a losing battle. Which is why I have nothing but respect for the drivers who continue to stick it out. For the drivers who make it to the end, who continue to bring us a good show. Even in the face of adversity. They choose to race. The race continues. And so to all those drivers who are a bit down on their luck, who haven't really had a race to remember in a little while, this one's for you. This one is for you. The silent heroes, the unsung heroes of racing series like this one. Because if we didn't have you, who continue to race, and everyone who continues to race despite circumstances not going their way, we wouldn't have a racing series. Because as soon as things looked like it wasn't going to be a guaranteed podium or guaranteed win, guaranteed good enough points, you'd have quit outs en masse. That's the last thing that I, or really anyone, wants. Let's go have a quick check-in with a couple of other cars who are further down, but this is the drag race. It's Oscari and it's Lindblom. Holds the apex. The Nismo is going to be super aggressive. And oh, Hermes stuck in traffic. But Lindblom hits the wall. So neither of them coming out on top there. Lindblom basically negated any kind of advantage that he would have held by slapping the rear right into the wall. Or rear left, sorry. Hermé does have a chance here to really make this count. He could push that envelope and he could get himself a free position based on Lindblom's mistake. He just needs to keep things amped up and don't let him get out of your sight. Will there be a bite from Lindblom? That's the question. How much composure did he really lose? Is he going to be able to keep it all together? Or will there be a slight deterioration? Feeling that pressure. E1 is well and truly gone, but Hermé and Lindblom are still fighting like the race depends on it. Oh, looks like we've had a bit of an issue. Something has gone awry. As there is a brief incident. Let's check on board with GMR and see exactly what happened. So it looks like they're coming up to traffic. This is going to be Rog here in the number 420 Porsche. Through McPhillamy Park. Oh, no, no. Looks like there's contact and things have gone very dicey for Rog there. That is unfortunate. And meanwhile, looks like a severe technical issue for Craig Morrison is going to see them peeling off into the grass. And just keeping it in the grass. They are not going to be returning to the track. Let's see if there's a specific impetus for that. We're going to jump all the way back to them making their way down through the S's and Dipper. Oh, just looks like they've lost steering. Yeah, they've lost steering. Oh, looks like they've managed to get it back. But they're creeping all across the dirt and the gravel. So let's check in with a couple of other cars. Wolfslenner KMR is waiting in his sights. Holmberg remains in the pit, so I think we might see a retiree. We are down to 28 cars, potentially 27. Wolfslener could make these last 5 minutes count because they have got KMR up ahead by just a few tenths of a second, and they are going to be coming up to traffic too. Because that's a vantage in the way. A little bit of a traffic issue here. How will the drivers navigate? They're down. Conrad. Both going to be peeling to the side. Expertly done from the two front markers. Although Wolfslener has a chance. Wolfslener has a chance here, folks. It's going side by side with the Mustang. Coming out through the chase. They're both going to be giving it everything. Excellently controlled from the Bentley. Easy to lose the rear there. But Gaimar not yielding an inch, although might have to. Final corner. Apex under control from the Bentley. The Mustang is tucking in behind. They might be teeing up for a counter later. But Wolfslener with an excellent move into P4. That is some quality racing if I've ever seen it. Just a smooth, decisive move. And that's all she wrote. We'll check with Ostrachars as well. Remember, this is for lead of silver, so this is just an impactful of a race. As we are seeing with some of the other battles. Ostrachars trying as they might to get Cook in the pink Mustang. So far, just not happening yet. Just not quite there yet. We'll be having to keep this one to the very end, I think, in terms of perspective, as there will be some drivers that we have to watch out for. Now, we certainly had an interesting race weekend here. I am not going to dispute that for even a shadow of a second. We had it so crazy first thing that we did the impossible and restarted. We had a full-on restart for the first time in SIMseniors Championship history. It got that chaotic. It's certainly going to be a run in the history books. But when you have night conditions like this and everyone driving to win it in the way that they sometimes do, it might be inevitable. Now, the important thing is, especially in a night race, you've got to keep your cool. You don't have to drive it like it's the final run, like it's the final lap. Because when you drive it like it's the final lap, accidents happen. Be mindful of your drivers that are around you. Now, don't be taking this as giving them the space and the corner on a silver platter so that they never have to try to defend. I'm not saying that. Because you are fighting arguably the hardest that you fight in a race to get those early positions. But that does not have to come at the cost of your fellow racer. So it's leaving that little extra inch. It's being that mindful person that in the heat of the moment, there can be a kick of the rear. And in such a volatile situation as lap 1, lap 2, a kick of the rear becomes a kick out for half of the grid. Mount Panorama, with the narrow circuit that it is, Things can go from bad to worse to standstill in a matter of seconds. So I guess my final message to you, those watching at home, and to you, the racers, is that race hard, but race fair. As for no matter how it goes, no position is worth a sacrifice. But with that sort of sombering moment out of the way, as we see a bit of a wobble from one of the 720s, that's going to be Peter Smith there, currently P26. We check our eyes to a winning side. And we can see that one driver has kept the nose clean and kept the race to near perfection. Maximilian Grosges, the black and gold Wolfpack Bentley. This car, we haven't seen really all race. And there's a reason for that. We haven't seen them just because they have got away from the field and they just started hot lapping. They've started hot lapping and they have shown a near perfect weekend. As we make our way down through Forest Elbow and into the Conrod Straight in full, this is probably their best weekend, their best run. As we see a couple of trades further down, we see Hughes and Reed duking it out. Strachars might be chasing on Cook, and we'll check in with them in a moment. But the leader crossing the line. It's a great final run. And some great points towards their championship. Up to the line now. Grosges is your race winner. And with that, couple of chaotic moments ensue. But seriously impressive run-ins from everyone involved out here. Grosges takes your win and takes some celebratory donuts, with Lindblom in a close second, 9 seconds. And Hermé really starting to chomp at the bit. They had a great race all the way through and then made it to P3 in class. Amazing stuff. We have a couple of other drivers who are now making their way through, although we've had a bit of a wobble. This is Anthony Hebert. They've lost some serious time. I think they had an incident. And they're now limping the car through. Although with so many others now already having finished their laps on the race, Hebert is thoroughly confirmed to be our winner of the bronze class. And then coming up to the line, it's going to be a close one, but it's going to be Richard Cook, closely followed by Adam Ostrachars. And then a couple of corners away. A chaotic end, but making it work regardless. It is Damien Reed pushing through, making it happen in the Lexus for P3 in silver. A few more cars making their way. But it looks like limping it home, or at least taking it easy, it's going to be our bronze winner, Anthony Hebert. What a race for you in the bronze as well. You kept it quiet, you kept your nose down, and you had a great quali on top of a great race. Let's bring it home in the Ferrari. Winner for bronze, Hebert. And then closely followed, although still massive margins, is going to be Alex North in second. And then John Gabbert in third. And that is where we do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we call it time. It's been an absolutely immense race. Unfortunately, my camera has decided that it does not want to cooperate with me. I do apologise. But you'll want to join us next time, because it is headed to an interesting circuit. I know for some this can be a little bit polarizing, but we are headed ourselves over to Misano. Now, Misano, it's a love it or hate it track. It's certainly got its fans, but it's got some of those who are, let's say, less than keen to be jumping on there all the same. But regardless, it is going to be an interesting race. And with the driver roster that we've seen here at SIMseniors, they're going to continue to deliver. So that will be one to continue to look forward to, and one that you will expect from us same time next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Thank you to the team who makes these sessions and these races possible. I sadly won't be able to visually wave you goodbye because my camera has decided to stop working, but I thank you all for joining us on this fun ride around Australia. We'll see you next week for the same thing in Italy. Take it easy, but for now, good night.